Hello everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to use bitmap textures on your vector designs for those times when you feel like you want to add a little something to them. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Veronica and I'm a designer. I also run the blog Pita Pattern, which is a blog all about surface pattern design. I'm Colombian but have been living in the UK for a very long time. I'm telling you that as a kind of disclaimer because of my accent. So I will do my best. In this tutorial I'm using some of the textures I gave away on last week's blog post. If you downloaded them, you can use those to follow along, or you can obviously use your own photos. I will also put a link to the download page in this post in case you haven't got those images but want to download them. Okay, so let's get started. What you can see here on my screen is the illustration I'm going to be working on. On the left hand side is the original illustration with flat colors and no texture. On the right hand side we have the same design but with the textures applied. This is what we want to be achieving by the end of the video. I'm going to open my flat illustration in a new document, and I want to make sure that all my elements are ungrouped. That will make it easier to apply different textures to different elements. So all these are ungrouped. I'm going to apply texture to the background first of all, so let's go and choose one of the textures from my hard drive. Okay, so for the background I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to open it in Photoshop, and now I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Threshold. In this dialog box you can choose the threshold level, which is like the amount of detail you want captured. This is up to you and the effect you want to create. In this case I'm gonna just set it to maybe 115. Okay, now you go to Image, Mode, and convert to grayscale. You can discard color information, we say discard. Okay, and go back to Image, Mode, and now choose Bitmap. In the resolution output field, choose the resolution you need for your final artwork. If you're creating something for the web, choose 72 dpi, but if you're working on something for printing, choose 300 dpi. I'm going to choose 300 in this case. You can leave the method alone at this time, but you're very welcome to experiment with it and see what kind of results you get. Okay, so now you can save your files. I'm going to save it as a TIFF. Okay, it's important you save as TIFF because that format will allow us to create the texture effects we want inside Illustrator. Okay, I'm gonna save mine as background texture, TIFF, save. I'm gonna replace because I had already one, but you can save it as whatever you want. You can leave these TIFF options alone in this window. I never bother messing around with those. Click OK. Okay, so let's go back now to Illustrator. You can go to File, Place, and select the TIFF image we just created. Click Place. And now you click on the artboard to place the image. Now you go to your swatches palette. If it's not visible, you can open it by going to Window, Swatches. Okay, you can color your texture with your chosen color. For this one I'm just gonna choose this dark green. Okay, now you align the texture to the top and left sides of the background shape by going to Align. So I got my texture selected, I go to the top bar where my Align menu is, and I align horizontal align left and vertical align top. Okay, now you can scale your texture until it covers the area you want to be textured. In my case it's the whole background, so I'm just gonna make it that big. Now you can go to your transparency panel. Again, if it's not visible, you can open it by going to Window, Transparency. And here you can apply the blending mode on this side or opacities to this TIFF. So for the sake of simplicity, I won't be explaining blending modes in this tutorial, but you're very welcome to experiment and see what kind of effects you can create with them. In this case, I'm gonna just set my opacity to around 40%. You can always obviously play around with these, as the result depends on the colors you're working with. And at this point, as you can see, you can stop adding textures and call it a day. Sometimes it's enough. It depends on the project, so that could be the effect you're looking for. So that would be the end of the tutorial. But I will be showing you a couple more tricks though, so let's keep going. Okay, so now select both the texture and the background by dragging over them like this, and send them right to the bottom of the stack by right clicking and choosing Arrange, Send to Back. So that makes this top of my background have the texture but not this bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to choose another texture to decorate one of the bases. So let's choose for that vase, let's choose this one. Okay, so now we repeat all the same steps we did before. We go to Image, Adjustments, Threshold. For this one, I'm just gonna go a little bit lower. I'm just gonna choose 95. Now go back to Image, Mode, Convert to Grayscale. You can discard the color information. Back to Mode, Bitmap. And again, Resolution, we leave it as it was. Okay. And now save your file as TIFF. I'll call mine vase texture. Okay. Back in Illustrator, I'll select one of the vases. I'm going to choose this orange one and copy and then paste in place. So you go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste in Place. So now we got two copies of that vase, one on top of each other. Okay, mine is right on top, but if yours is not right on top of the whole illustration, you can bring that copy we just created right to the front by right-clicking it and choosing Arrange, Bring to Front. Now I'll show you a handy little trick. Before placing your TIFF into this file, you change the Illustrator mode to Draw Behind by pressing Shift D. That's Shift D. You can also find this option at the bottom of your Tools palette. It's here. You can just about see it. Draw Normal, Draw Behind. Mine is a bit hidden. Once in Draw Behind mode, go to File, Place, and select the TIFF we just created, which was the vase texture. Place. Click to put it into place. And because we're in Draw Behind mode, the texture is placed behind our copied vase shape, which is handy because we need that exact stacking order for our next step. You can get out of Draw Behind mode by using by pressing Shift D again, or by pressing this little button down here. Okay, so I'm back to Draw Normal. Okay, now you can color your texture with your chosen color. I'm gonna choose pink one for this one, bear with me. And with the texture still selected, shift click on the vase to select it at the same time. So you got the texture selected, press shift on your keyboard, click on the vase. Now you got both elements selected. Now just go to object, clipping mask, make. Now we have a mask in the shape of the vase with our texture in it. Now you can go to your transparency panel and then set your transparency. I'm gonna set mine to 20, and this time I'm actually gonna use the multiply blending mode. You can play with those as much as you want. And last thing we need to do with this vase is to send the masked texture back to its place, because at the moment it's on top of the flowers and of this vase, so it's a bit messy. So we do that by right clicking and choosing arrange once again, but this time we're saying backward, and we do that as many times as necessary to send it behind all the elements that is overlapping at the moment. So instead of going to that menu every time, if it's gonna need many times, you just go command left bracket several times until it goes to where it belongs, right there. In the last example I'm gonna show you, we're gonna apply the texture only to a part of a shape. So let's do it. I'm gonna choose another texture. So I'm going back to my hard drive, and this time I'm gonna choose a texture for the leaves. So I'm just gonna choose this one. Okay? And we repeat all the same steps as before. Image, adjustments, threshold, and this time I'm gonna set mine a bit lower. So 80. Image, mode, convert to grayscale. Image, mode, bitmap, same resolution. Okay, and now save as stiff again, and this time I'm gonna name it leaf texture. Save. Okay, back in Illustrator, let's zoom in on those leaves I'm gonna be working on. Now with the pen tool, I'm gonna draw a shape that covers roughly half the leaf. Okay, I'm gonna choose the leaf, the original leaf, and duplicate it by copying it. So edit, copy, and this time we're gonna paste it in back. So we have another copy of that leaf. With that leaf still selected, shift click on the shape we just created and open your Pathfinder window, which is, for me, is here, but obviously if you're not finding it, go to window and find it like we found the other ones. And this time click minus front. Okay, that leaves us with a shape that is half a leaf and obviously the original leaf. I'm gonna color it differently so you know what's going on here. I'm just gonna give it another color of green. So we got the original leaf and half a leaf. Okay, so with my half a leaf selected, I drag it while holding Shift and Alt at the same time. So Alt duplicates the shape while I'm dragging it, and Shift constrains the movement to vertical only. So my Illustrator guides and Smart guides and Snap to Point options are on, so it's easy to align the new shape with the rest of the leaves. You can turn those options here in View, Smart Guides, Snap Point. So I'll just this one is not wanting to align, so I'll just get a little bit closer. There it is. Sometimes doesn't play ball. Okay, now we select the 3 shapes we just created and select the reflect tool. Click on the corner of this leaf because that's where the point of mirroring I want to set. Click once and then Shift and Alt to duplicate and to constrain to the other side the movement. And now just put them on the leaves on the place they should be. Okay, so now select all the new leaf shapes we just made by clicking on each one while pressing Shift. Select them all and go to Object, Compound Path, Make. By making a compound path with these shapes, we're telling Illustrator that this counts as one shape and not 6 different shapes, and this will come in really handy at the time of masking. Okay, so now let's zoom out again and bring our final texture in. So I'll go to Draw Behind mode, so Shift D or the button down here, Draw Behind with the shape still selected, and I go to Save, File, Place, and choose my leaf texture this time, Place, and click on the artboard to place it. Now with it still selected, I'll choose a color, so this time I'm going to choose okay, let's choose this yellow and see how it goes, and resize to just fit that area of the leaves. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what's going on here. So the texture is behind these leaf shapes because we were in Draw Behind mode. I'm going to get out of Draw Behind mode now by pressing Shift D again, back to normal, and while the texture is still selected, Shift click on the leaf shapes, and again Object, Clipping Mask, Make, and that just creates a lovely mask of our half leaf shapes. And now we go back to the opacity and we set up the opacity, and you can obviously play with the blending mode once again. So let's say that looks nice. Let's zoom out again. There you are. Okay, so I showed you a few ways of using the textures inside Illustrator. So to recap, first we used it on the background, and you can do that for the whole image and finish at that point if you want. Second, we applied it to a simple shape, the vase, with a clipping mask. And third, we applied the texture to only part of a shape and used compound paths to apply one texture to several elements at the same time. There are hundreds of ways of using textures on your vector illustrations, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, and I think the end result can look quite gorgeous. Another thing to take into account is that you could convert these TIFFs into vectors by image tracing them inside Illustrator, but I find that converting them sometimes creates so many anchor points that the file becomes really heavy and really slow to work with. So you have to take this decision based on the project you're working on. Anyway, I'll finish up these textures like Speedy Gonzales so we can see the end result, and hopefully see you again soon. Bye!